So we continue the discussion further on the concept of capacitor and what we mean by capacitor getting charged, how capacitor gets developed, voltage across it, and how it can act just like a battery. So the idea should be substantially clear now, even though it is stated that the very concept of electric charge is something which is not extremely clear to everybody. But if we decide that I will not be able to proceed, means there is always a conflict of assumption and understanding. If you decide to assume everything, believing it, then there will be no learning. And if you decide that I will not assume anything, I will question anything, and I will try to understand anything, there will be no progress, because you will be stuck up at the very first concept. So we have to achieve a suitable balance. So while achieving a suitable balance, we are spending substantial amount of time in an initial phase. It is the initial phase of this semester, the first semester in your domain expertise, domain specialization. So I think now I will rub it out, and prior to that, I will not rub it out, prior to that I will further explain to you. Just I will rub it out and put afresh. So the concept is, that is, all these things are revolving around the fact that the electric property of electric charge is to distribute itself. It is the Coulomb's law. Like charges repel each other. Like charges repel each other, but still, because of the other nuclear force and all these things, atoms exist which contain nucleus, and the nucleus contains more protons, and they remain together. They don't disintegrate. If Coulomb's law is the only law in the world, in that case, there should not be positive and negative charge. They should have recombined, and if one charge is more, then that should have distributed over an expanding sphere, but that doesn't happen. So with this, I ask a simple further question. So battery is like a charge pump. Battery is a charge pump. Another thing, I would like to raise few questions on which you should think parallelly. Means, whether the teacher should tell everything, means I am trying my level best to simplify. But the world is not so simple as I explain it. So while I am trying my level best to simplify the concepts, at the same time, in order to feed your intellect some kind of challenging task, I should also give some tough questions. Whether a unipolar battery exists. Whenever you bring a battery, you get a battery with two terminals, one positive terminal, one negative terminal. I said that battery is a charge pump. I said that battery is a charge pump. So it's a pump, means it has a source and sink. You know that a conventional water pump, it has got a source and sink. So, or source and sink are maybe again confusing because it is electron and all that. Is an inlet and outlet. So water, the pump sucks water from inlet and forces it out through outlet. Like that, the battery negative terminal, positive terminal sucks electrons from wherever possible, and its negative terminal forces them away. Now the question is, have you seen a pump which has got only inlet and outlet? Normally not. Similarly, a unipolar battery, only positive terminal, only sinking electrons, or only negative terminal, only forcing electrons, that doesn't happen, but you may parallel think on it. Okay, let us now proceed further. So I got this battery. Obviously same thing again, a switch, a lamp, and this one. The switch lamp and this one. Now I just make some small change in while drawing itself. Or right now I don't make this change. Okay. So we have seen that the three cases, when I connect it, and obviously the switch is on, maybe 24 volts, that is not so important, plus minus, electrons continue to travel, circuit gets completed, and the lamp glows. Case 1, circuit complete. Case 2, when I earth them, maybe at any long distance, still lamp glows, but we can say circuit complete, lamp glows. Case 2, case 1 diagonal, case 2 earthing, lamp glows, but circuit complete or not is questionable, but we can say, even though I cannot say directly circuit is completed, that is the same electrons are not traveling, but we can say that the number of electrons which are pushed into earth from this end are equivalently pulled from this end. So this current I1 and this current I2, this is electron flow. So I1 is reverse, that is current is in this direction, right? So number of electrons pushed and number of electrons pulled are equal. And case 3, which we discussed, is that instead of this earthing it here and taking it away miles together to moon, in that case what happens is that in third case lamp glows initially, but it fades later. Now I would like to ask you another question. I don't go from earth and moon, but I am having a big metallic sphere here. I connect it to a big metallic sphere here and another metallic sphere here. I connect this one end to a big metallic sphere and other end another big metallic sphere. Then what will happen? Listen very carefully now. Those who want to answer can answer on their own, by pausing it, and they can resume the video later. So we assume that the switch is on, and I have got these two ends, end A and end B. I have got two metallic spheres. I connect end A and end B to these spheres. End A is connected to negative terminal of the battery. So it is, what it is doing? Throwing away electrons. End B is connected through lamp to positive. And remember, battery does not have doesn't pump inside. When we think of a water pump, the water pump out through the outlet, water pump throws away water, but the pump doesn't have any water source. So through the outlet, water pump can throw away the water if it is able to suck the water from the inlet. So this sources throws away electrons provided that it is able to pull them, suck them, attract them from other end. So logic, listen very carefully. Terminal, I just deliberately sit in between so that you can see both A and B. So A is having a thrust of forcing electrons, B is having a thrust of pulling electrons, and these two are big metallic spheres. I deliberately use the word big. These two are big metallic spheres. Again metallic. When it is metallic, big metallic sphere, big metallic. So big and metallic. As it is metallic, what it allows, we say that there are free electrons in good conductors metals, and movement of charge is easier in metals. I stated that if we start questioning this again, just for the sake of understanding, or for the sake of the feel how complex it is, I give a simple example that itself will tell that everything you cannot understand. Why is the concept of free electron is there in metals, and why it is not so in other, what we can say, elements? Then the atomic model, right from Dalton till Bohr and all that, have you ever questioned that, yes, okay, that listen very carefully, because these are the things which an engineering student should, means even if after few decades the question is asked to you, your idea should be clear. You learned chemistry, periodic tables and all that, right from de Bouraine's triplets, then Mendeleev periodic table and all that. Okay, I accept that now the nucleus can contain protons because of, say, nuclear forces, because protons can't remain together, they should burst and move to the end of the universe or ever expanding universe. Okay, let us say protons exist. Then electrons, okay, that is also acceptable. That electrons will revolve around the nucleus in various orbits, s, p, d, f and all that. That's okay, that's also okay. I don't question that. Have you ever, I am sure that you never, that there is a concept of last orbit of electrons. Last orbit of electrons. I really appreciate the, what we can say, capability of good high school teachers who could make you convinced to these themes. Why at all means, why we say free electron is there in metals, that or ionic bond or covalent bond. We say that I am attacking the very basic, what we can say, foundation, that why at all the means, suppose that now you get holiday, suppose that some notice comes that tomorrow is holiday, you become comfortable, you enter into a goal state. Like that, why at all, when there are two electrons in the last orbit, it is a dream state, goal state, stable state, otherwise it's uneasy state. It too is okay. Then after that, why not 4, but why directly 8? I change the medium of instruction and ask the question. I have a statement. शेवटच्या कक्षेत 2 इलेक्ट्रॉन म्हणजे एकदम स्टेप अशी गोल स्टेट. किंवा शेवटच्या अक्षर मग 8 का 4 का नाही, 8 4 स्किप का झाले. सो आणि मग इफ देर इज one electron in the next orbit, then it is loosely coupled. 8 are there and 1 is there in the last orbit, so it is loose, so it gives it away. So why at all means all these things are based on the presumption that to have 8 electrons in the last orbit is something to be achieved. Just like salvation is the goal of human life. मोक्ष हे मनुष्याच्या जीवनाचं अंतिम ध्येय आहे. That is said by great philosophers, thinkers. Few of you may say why? So there is no specific answer immediately. Similarly, the question is, why at all to have 8 electrons in the last orbit is something great? That the answer cannot be so easily given. Why at all to have 8 electrons in the last orbit is something great? And why at all atoms should strive for it and have some kind of chemical bonding, means someone who is having 1 in last orbit is also uneasy, someone who is having 7 electrons in last orbit is also uneasy, and their uneasiness is complementary and a win-win situation, and 1 electron is transferred, so sodium chloride is formed. It is to a certain extent acceptable, not fully. The next is carbon or silicon semiconductor. They have 4 electrons. Others also having 4 electrons. Then in that case we say that they come together. They come together, or it is not actually 2-dimensional. In 3D there is 1 silicon atom or 1 carbon atom. There are 4 carbon atoms surrounding it. That chain grows, and each carbon tetrahedral structure that you may be knowing, that each carbon atom feels that I have got my 4 electrons and 1 electron each from 4 neighboring atoms. So I have got 8. Other also feels that I have got 8. It is just like saying that I have, suppose that to have a balance of 1 lakh rupees is something which is very good. Then 2 friends are there, each is having 50,000. Then they go and open a joint account and say that jointly we have 1 lakh. Isn't it a illusion? Like that, the covalent bonding, don't you think to be illusion? So it shakes the ECAD, electronics, circuit analysis design, the whole semiconductor. Then semiconductor with 4 atoms in last orbit, in that impurities are p-type and n-type. And all that, the entire building is multi-story building of semiconductor. This diode transistor is based on this concept of 4 electrons in last orbit. To have 8 is something which is great, and so on. So similarly, the metals, the free electrons, all those concepts, all are based on 8 to have 8 electrons in the last orbit is something great, and one should try for that. Just like one should try for salvation. Okay, so this is something which can't be that way so easily justified. It may have very deep explanation which is beyond scope of our discussion, but still what I wanted to convey is that something we need to presume and then proceed further. If time permits, you can question every presumption. If you presume everything, then you will be having ample time, and you will, there is no question of learning, because you presume everything. And if you question everything, then you will not be able to proceed, because when you question first presumption, to understand that you need to go deep. It also includes many presumptions that, so it's linked list and which you cannot, does not get exhausted. Okay. So now it's a big metallic sphere. Then metallic, free electrons more, they can easily move, and big is having large volume. So what will happen, that the terminal A, listen now very carefully, terminal A, it floods electrons, sprinkles electrons on this metallic sphere, and this terminal B captures, sucks, takes away electrons from this metallic sphere. So it is presumed that the metallic sphere is big. When these connections were yet not made, it is electrically neutral. It is electrically neutral, that is the number of protons and number of electrons in that entire sphere are equal. Now what is in between? Ideally vacuum. Let us say it's vacuum. I am very specific. Let us say that it's vacuum, and somehow that experiment is being done. It's a, what we can say, fiction. So electrically neutral sphere, a charge pump, switch and bulb. So when this is flooding electrons, its pump, it is forcing, what should be the reaction of the sphere? Okay, it's all right, I'm having ample, it will come here. But similarly, it is taking away, so initially huge, so small number of electrons taken away, it would be negative. Means the moment at which the terminal A and terminal B continue the activity of what we can say, sprinkling or putting electrons on one sphere and taking away from the other sphere, both spheres lose their electric neutrality. Now if you ask a question, if the switch is not closed and we just connect this one, means the pump is not active, because the charged battery, charged pump will be able to supply electrons from this end if this end is able to capture. So that what will happen if it is only one terminal is connected? Nothing will happen. You can think later on this at a deeper aspect. So when the things work, the electrons, there is a battery, it is having charge pump, switch is closed, there is a lamp, some resistance. So the battery plus lamp together, if this, let us say battery 24 volts and the lamp we can put up 2.4 ohm, just well for the sake of value, 2.4 ohm. Initially if this was connected to each other directly, in that case what would have happened? That a 10 amperes of current would have continuously flowed. 10 amperes of current would have continuously, means the opposition made by the resistance of the lamp is of the proportion that it maintains a 10 amperes of current throughout the circuit continuously. Now what will happen? Now if initially means, listen very carefully, if this connection was there, then the electron at 10 amperes of current would have been continuously maintained. 10 amperes of current would have been continuously maintained. Now if this is not there and we just connect, what we find is that initially this also makes no opposition to flow of electrons coming here. This also makes no opposition for the electrons being taken away from it. So what we can say, listen very carefully, it's very important, that the same current of 10 amperes, would have been there when we start the thing. Same current of 10 amperes will be there when we start the thing. Then when it starts, what is going to happen? When it starts, in that case, the moment at which electrons come here and electrons are taken away from here, this sphere becomes electrically negative. Means it loses electrical neutrality and becomes negative. In number of electrons, it's vacuum in between. Number of electrons are more here, number of electrons are less here. So we can say that this is against sphere A and sphere B. So sphere A becomes negatively charged, sphere B becomes positively charged. And the property of charge is to distribute itself. So this charge pump is trying to throw electrons, bombard electrons on this sphere. But initially the sphere has not opposed that. Why? Because it was electrically neutral. But when it becomes negatively charged, the number of electrons are more, in that case, when I say that electric charge tries to distribute itself, or to be very particular, electric charge tries to reduce its density. Means electric charge tries to reduce its density to get distributed to the maximum extent, is its natural tendency. So if an attempt is made to increase the concentration, increase the charge density, it will oppose. So when electrons start coming here, they start accumulating, and as more electrons are accumulated, it will not be, means suppose that, let us say, very carefully, I am giving very simple examples. Suppose that you may think of last year. In last year after 12th, there was huge gap of few months. So to be very precise, there was no learning. And when the first year college started in February, you were very eager to attend a lecture. You were very eager. But suppose that as you are eager, the teachers decide to bombard with the lectures continuously. Today, in the morning, in the evening, in the midnight, and so on. What will happen? Slowly, your attitude will become opposing it, and you will say, "So no, we don't want now." So same thing happens, that initially it was not opposing, but as electrons start coming, it starts opposing. Now there is a tussle. Listen very carefully, I am explaining it in so simple words that, as I had already stated, that even after decades you should remember it. Negative terminal is a charge pump. It wants to push electrons, means battery wants to push electrons from on A and pull from B. This is a battery action. And spheres A and B themselves, initially they are neutral, but as it is like Lenz's law, you might have heard that it is an entire element is now leading to an equilibrium. That charging of this sphere as well as this sphere is a cause, and now that is opposing further charging. Listen very carefully. Battery flooding electrons here and pulling away from here is going to to make this sphere negatively charged, this sphere positively charged. The moment at which it gets charged, it will start opposing. So, in effect, when it opposes one force, suppose that some kind of competition is there, one tries to force the other person to other end. So initially what is happening, that one person not opposing, so it will continue to move back, but it starts slowly opposing. This is very clear. I see, I am now so explaining it in so simple words that if you find a simple explanation than this, we can have a debate. Say suppose that there is some kind of sports competition. This is the line A, layer 1, layer 2, layer 2. Then, or white layer 1, layer 2, and I think I will give you the simple example of spring. I will give you a simple example of spring. You have been in Gymkhana. You might not have seen the gym, but in the gym there is a spring. It is a mass. Right. Now you have to force this. You have to force this. What will happen then? You start forcing. Initially there is no opposing force. Spring is in its extremely natural state. So no opposition. So you press it. So it will move on this side. Now there is a bodybuilder from your class who is performing this exercise. So he is very strong, he is having good force. Then he is forcing it. Then what happens? As it forces, the spring gets compressed. Spring gets compressed. As spring gets, so neither expanded nor contracted is natural state. Any kind of deviation is opposed. Unnatural one, it is opposed. So compressed spring will try to come to natural state, so it's opposing force. But your player is very strong, so his force is more. So initially he starts pushing, no opposition. Now there is opposition, but his force is more, he starts pushing. Then there is more opposition. So there is a person who is having a good power. So what he will do? He will be able to move it. But what it's some fixed power. So what will happen? From the other end, initially no opposition, but as it gets pushed, more opposition, and that will increase as you push more and more. So this is having very large but not infinite force. So as it is finite, it's constant, so the opposing force will increase continuously. This force is more, so there will be movement, but the speed with which it moves will go on reducing slowly, and a stage will come that is called as an equilibrium stage. That is called as an equilibrium stage, where the opposing force and the applied force are equal, and the spring would be in its natural, it would be in its compressed state, which is steady, because forcing movement is not possible because of applied and opposing forces are equal. Then same thing will happen, that this will also start opposing. And now just draw a small change. I just make the spheres. I draw the spheres here. Just for the sake of simpler understanding. A sphere and a sphere. So what will happen? Initially, if you put an emitter here, initially you will find that lamp will glow with full intensity, that is current. Lamp will glow with full intensity, and as lamp glows, as current flows, this was even, and I just changed the names. This sphere A and sphere B. Sphere B, just I have changed the names to look good. Sphere A will become, what we can say, will have shortage of electrons. Sphere B will have excess electrons. So sphere A is positively charged, sphere B is negatively charged, and sphere A and sphere B together oppose the movement of further electrons. So that the battery is trying to send current in this manner, and sphere A and sphere B together, this is emitter, I put emitter I say, otherwise A and A there should not be confusion. And these two spheres are collectively opposing it. Collectively opposing it means they are also acting as a battery, because what is electric potential? Plus and minus. Plus means pulls electrons, minus means throws electrons. So it is pulling, means it is pulling electrons, means throwing away current, we can say. It is doing reverse thing in this way, means this is also getting positively charged. So if you put a voltmeter, this is 24 volts here, and if you put a voltmeter here, what will happen? That effectively, what is going to happen? Effectively, the spheres are opposing the current flow. When spheres are opposing the current flow, you will find that initially, which was 10 amperes, starts exponentially falling. Like this. So, if when there was 10 amperes of current, that time 24 volts, 2.4 ohm, so this was 0 volt. When 24 volt, 24 volts, 2.4 ohms, 10 amperes of current, 24 volts here, 24 volts drop, this voltage 0 volts. When current starts falling down after some time, we find that, let us say after some time, current becomes 5 ampere. So, and lamp intensity will reduce. So 5 amperes of current means what? Drop would be 5 to 0.4, that is 12 volts. 24 volts here, 12 volts drop. So 12, effectively there would be a voltage across capacitor of 12 volts. So if you put voltage, then you will find that as current, or I can put voltage also here, this would be, voltage will be increasing. This is 0 volts and 24 volts, here 12 volts. This will be 12 volts. So this is called as charging of capacitor. This is called as charging of capacitor. Now instead of this sphere, you can have a big metallic plate. You can have a big metallic plate. Another metallic plate. So two metallic plates separated by vacuum. Actually, then there is one more, that is dielectric other than vacuum, and that is very complex. Right now we don't want to go into those details. So two plates, then more the size of the plate, less the size of the plate, what will happen? If these plates are separated by some distance d, if the distance is increased, what will happen? And so on. These are very, and that is the dielectric. What is the dielectric constant? What is the maximum dielectric constant material I can have? What is electrolyte and all that? So all these things are there, but the concept that when you put two spheres and there is no electric connection between these two, electric circuit is not complete, still electrons move from here to here, they move with less speed as we proceed further. Electron moves from here to here. So battery, lamp, that is resistor and capacitor, the current is from battery to one plate of the capacitor and from other plate of the capacitor to other end of the battery, and not through capacitor. Current never flows through capacitor. The flow of charges or flow of electrons to and from plates of the capacitor make the plates of the capacitor charged. So the concept is that whenever there is a capacitor, now I remove this lamp, switch and all that. Switch I will put, lamp, sphere and all that I will not put. Now I will put a symbol for capacitor, assuming that I have spent more than required time to explain the fundamentals. If we get stuck up in the fundamentals, then we may not be able to move, but somehow we have to achieve balance. So what I can say is, switch S. Now V in, the battery is of V in, this is positive terminal, this is negative terminal, this is capacitor C. Now what happens is that the capacitor plates are there. Important thing is that, suppose if, listen very carefully, actually I should have asked this question earlier, that what I do is that there is one more, or I could still put a lamp so that you can understand better. And let this be plates or spheres, huge plates, right? So I close the switch, lamp will glow. I close the switch, lamp will glow. Initially, the current will now start falling. So when I close the switch, lamp will glow, and after some time, lamp intensity will be dim. To be very precise, it will continue with infinitesimally small current throughout. That if I put the voltmeter here, if this was 24 volts, if I put voltmeter here, then the voltage will increase from 0 and will slowly go on and will be very close to 24, but will not be, it is asymptotical. Means in half-life time, in given time it covers the half of the remaining distance. In given time it covers half of the remaining distance, so that it can never touch. So it increases, here it is say 20, then in say 1 minute it becomes 22, in next minute it becomes 23, in next minute it becomes 23.5 and never touches 24, but for all practical purposes it is as good as 24. So now you close the switch, lamp will glow. When lamp glows, this would be positively charged and it will be negatively charged because the currents will flow. And after some time, you open the switch. You close the switch, lamp will glow, it will diminish in intensity. You open the switch. Then what will happen? When you open the switch, lamp will stop glowing. What about charges? The charges means what has happened in the process of electrons getting flooded here and taken here, effectively flowing current from this lamp was blowing. This plate is excess in or shortage of electrons, so positive charge. This is excess of electron, negative charge. And now you remove this. The charges now can't move. They will be remaining there as it is. And now if there is one more, you put another lamp like this. You open this switch, S1 we can say, and if you close S2, what will happen? It's very interesting. It must be understood very clearly. This is this RC circuit you should never forget in your life. So this was decreasing. So somewhere here, after say 1 hour, you open the switch. So the voltage was around 1 hour is also 1 minute we can say. Voltage was around 23.99 or so. And then, so what will happen? Electrons are short in number here, they are excess, so it is trying to throw away. As the path was blocked, they were unable to move. Now they find a path from this. So excess electrons will start their travel. The lamp will oppose as per its resistance, but the lamp will glow and will come here. It will so initially there would be a current of approximately 10 amperes, and that will slowly fall. And if you put a voltmeter here, then voltage also fall. So this is called as charging of capacitor, and this is voltage, and this is called as discharging of capacitor. So capacitor now there it's very resistance is having 2 terminals. Capacitor also having 2 terminals. Now resistance does not have any remembrance capacity. It is a memoryless device, whereas capacitor is having remembrance capacity. Resistance does not have a state, it only has got a value. Resistance or resistor and capacitor. Resistor is fully described when you describe its resistance, that is value. Whereas capacitor, it has got a value, capacitance, what exactly? So for capacitor, depending upon cross-sectional area, distance in between and dielectric property, there is a capacitor. Across the plates of the capacitor there will be a charge. Charge capacity means not one plate only charged and other plate neutral. Charge capacity means it gets always charged in equal and opposite manner, because otherwise it can't get charged. So charge capacity means plus Q charge on one plate and minus Q charge on other plate. Means a capacitor charged with charge Q means plus Q on one plate and minus Q on the other plate. And you know, maybe in late high school or junior college days, that for a capacitor, the construction of the capacitor, that is the cross-sectional area, that is the cross-sectional area of the plates, distance in between the plates, and the dielectric constant. There is a C is equal to epsilon A by D. We don't go into those details right now. And the equation which governs the capacitor is Q is equal to C into V. So or V is equal to Q by C. So for a capacitor having large value, same charge will be resulting into less voltage. For a capacitor, if C is large, same charge will result into less voltage. If C is less, same charge will result into more voltage. So a capacitor is described by value capacitance and state. Means if you are shown a resistor, that's all. Resistor, if voltage across resistor is 0, current through it is 0. But for capacitor, you can charge it, you can remove it from the circuit. So there is state, resistor doesn't have a state, and charge held by capacitor, which results into equivalent voltage. So a capacitor not in circuit can also have voltage across it. Listen very carefully. In the simplest words I am explaining. A capacitor, a resistor not in circuit. A resistor not in circuit, if you put a voltmeter, it will always be 0. Whereas a capacitor not in circuit, it is not in circuit right now. But what was its previous one? What was its previously? Means if you put resistance into circuit, current will flow, voltage will be there. The moment at which you remove resistance from the circuit, voltage will disappear. Where for capacitor, when you put it into circuit, it will be getting charged, some voltage will be developed across it, and when you remove it, it will continue to hold that voltage because charges are stored. So capacitor is a device which is having memory. It is having a state. Resistor is said to be a 0th order device which is only having its value. Resistor is having resistance. Capacitor is having capacitance C, and because it is able to remember, it can have different states. So a capacitor not in electric circuit can still be in different states. It can have different charges stored in it, leading to different voltage